Scorpio, when it comes to your 2026, there is a transit that is going to excite half of you and terrify the other half of you. And that is Jupiter entering Leo, aka the most public, the most visible territory of your chart. A lot of you are being thrust into the limelight. Your creative talents could be recognized favorably by the world at large. You could receive some sort of promotion that requires you to step into your managerial abilities, your leadership abilities. Some of you can make a very heart-centered career pivot where you feel like your unique talents and abilities are being distilled to something bigger than you. This can be an incredibly prosperous, abundant, successful year. But some of you may have felt a shudder run down your spine as soon as I said limelight, as I'm talking to Scorpios. This is a sign that is much more comfortable in the shadows, in the information that is submerged, in the parts of our mind that is subconscious. Yet Jupiter is entering the sign of the sun in the territory of your chart that governs career, public persona, and reputation. Some of you may feel like that's a threat around, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be perceived. I would rather stay behind the scenes. And that's all well and good, but I see for many of you, you're going to have an awakening this year of realizing that it is bigger than you. And sometimes we get in our own way when we make it about us around, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be perceived. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to put my art out there because of what people may say. With North Node and Aquarius moving into your fourth house this year, there may be an acknowledgement around, I want to do what is intrinsically fulfilling to me, what it is that I feel can make an impact on the world at large. And some of you may recognize that your talents, your gifts, your creative abilities are really a tool that you can do just that with. And that when we make it about us around how will I be perceived, sometimes we can be diminishing the impact that we can make should we fully embody our gifts, our talents, our leadership. And so some of you are getting out of your own way around recognizing, yes, this may feel uncomfortable to be seen, to be promoting my art, to be putting myself out there, to be accepting this promotion. But I feel so heart-centered about the path that I am on. I feel so aligned. I feel like I am some way am born to do this, that I'm having to let go of old belief systems, old self-sabotaging tactics, of old paths that I thought were for me. Jupiter is not the only planet moving through this very visible territory of the chart. South Node is also there, which is around shedding and release. And you more than anyone else in the zodiac know that in order to grow, you must let go. I mean, I'm talking to Scorpios. You all are around choosing who you're evolving to be rather than who it is that you've been in the past. And with Jupiter and South Node in the 10th house, some of you may be consciously releasing career paths that do not feel aligned. Some of you may be letting go of outdated ways of viewing yourself in order to level up as a leader. Some of you may be releasing, taking things very personally or making it about you in order to really share your art and share your gifts with the world at large. I genuinely feel that with this transit, Saturn and Neptune in the 6th house, a lot of you are putting an effort to make your dreams a reality, and it feels bigger than you. And when you are tapped into something that feels bigger than you, your willpower, your energy will astound you. When you are working towards a vision that you feel like can genuinely help people and support people, you get out of bed excited to get back to the impact, get back to the helping of individuals. You recognize that your talents, your abilities, your creativity, your being can be used as a tool to tap into something bigger than yourself and to help people in a cause, a vision that feels bigger than yourself. Yes, Scorpio, the new heights that you are ascending to around being visible, being public, being out in the world do require you to meet those heights with depth, with Pluto also transiting through the 4th house. Some of you could be doing work around, why do I feel so uncomfortable when I receive praise from the world at large? Why do I constantly feel like the other shoe is going to drop when good things happen for me? Why is it that I avoid opportunities to grow as a leader? Like there could be an ask to really do reflection from deep within and knowing that the more deeply and intimately you feel connected with yourself down here, the more you can really arise for what it is that you want to do out in the world, out here. This does feel like a very prosperous, abundant year for you, Scorpio, so long as you are willing to let go of what is no longer serving you in terms of how it is that you relate with the general public and the internal themes that it may trigger. And so long as you put the effort in, put the work in with Saturn settling into your 6th house. But before we go deep, and I know you all love to go deep, the deep soul divers of the zodiac, I want to let you know that this video will be the most relevant and the most applicable if you are a Scorpio rising or a Scorpio sun. I recommend within my 12 Days of Cosmos series, watching your ascendant sign definitely. That will be the most accurate, the most resonant look at your cosmos. And then secondarily, looking at your sun sign. The reason for this is that I utilize a technique in astrology called solar houses, which is when we take the sun sign and we essentially pull it into the 1st house and set up the houses as such. Your most accurate forecast will always be your actual houses, which is your set by your rising sign. But I also find that the solar houses oftentimes are like the icing on top of the cake, where oftentimes you can definitely feel those themes threaded throughout your year as well. This forecast, as with all the others in my series, is told from the lens of whole sign house system. You're so welcome to listen if you utilize a different house system. It also just may make sense for you to listen to the surrounding signs just in case the houses differ within your specific natal chart. So just in case you are new to my cosmic corner of the internet, my name is Haley Comet. I'm passionate about co-creative astrology. I believe that astrology is a tool that we can leverage, that we can utilize in order to work with the cosmic energies in the ways that they are already working with us. So if that feels in alignment with you, I would so deeply appreciate a like, a subscribe, a comment, sharing this to any other Scorpions within your life so you can all get prepared of what is to come within the year ahead, but how it is that you are going to take advantage of certain opportunities, how it is that you are going to show up in certain choice points that are arising within your year. I want to let you know that there are 2 opportunities this year to take a deep dive if you are feeling inspired around the year ahead and really wanting to align with the astrology as you move into it. The first is called the Magic 2026 month by month guide. Within this guide, I take you through every single scene of the movie of 2026 for Scorpio. I talk about the particular months that are most favorable for career opportunities, for applications, for vacations, which months may bring about certain catalysts for growth, for healing, what have you. The Magic 2026 month by month guide comes with a PDF of the planetary movement of the year for you as a Scorpio, with an accompanying video where I talk you through the magic of each month, as well as the potential challenges that may emerge and affirmations for you to continue to co-create with your year. And if you're looking for a personal look at your chart, your transits, as well as a supportive cosmic community to navigate it with, check out my Capricorn new moon classes. We're having those in January within small groups. We will look at your chart, your transits, and under the supportive, ambitious energy of the Capricorn new moon, we will set intentions, and particularly setting intentions around what is already aligning for us within the astrology. So setting intentions to work with the astrology in the ways that it's working with us. So make sure to check that out if any of those offerings intrigue you. But without further ado, let's take it into the movie of your year, Scorpio 2026. So I want you to feel, Scorpio, as you watch this forecast, as you listen to this forecast, feeling like you are genuinely watching a trailer of the movie of what's to come. But remembering that with you as the protagonist, you get to decide how it is that you grab hold of certain opportunities, how it is that you react to certain challenges, and the choices that you make and certain choice points. And as the movie begins, there's a couple energies that you are bringing with you. I want to begin by sharing that since 2018, Uranus has been in Taurus, and that story officially concludes this year in April, to be specific. But this energy could have brought, since 2018, some ups and downs as it relates to your marriage, as it relates to your partnerships, as it relates to your romantic life, your partnership life altogether. Uranus is the planet of ups and downs, of twists and turns. So there could have been an energy around dealing with instability as it relates to your union. Some of you could have been on off with a partner. Some of you could have really had a hard time finding consistency as it relates to the individuals that you were dating. You could have met individuals that were very electrifying, that were very exciting, but didn't really make you feel safe in the way that you were really craving to feel safe. Some of you, if you are in a committed partnership, you could have been soul searching. Your partner could have been soul searching. One or both of you could have gone through certain midlife crises around what do we really want out of life? And does this relationship partnership allow me the space to be fully and authentically myself? Some of you could have had some ups and downs as it relates to certain collaborations with other individuals. While this could have been an exciting year in terms of the people that were coming in, Uranus energy can be a bit like a revolving door in that people could have been coming in and coming out. Since 2018, you could have felt this energy around having to be a bit more detached. And you're a Scorpio. You like to go deep. You are not someone who likes to just skirt on the surface. And you could have found with Uranus in this territory, there was just an energy around not fully feeling like you could trust people to be there all of the time. There could have been just inconsistency alive with the people entering into your field around signing to a certain agency because you like the manager and then that person leaves. Like there just could have been an energy around, I just want stability in terms of who I work with, in terms of who I partner with. I want stability. And with Uranus in the 7th house, there could have been people since 2018 who really opened up your worldview, people who really electrified you. You could have worked with certain mentors or collaborated with certain people that were a bit weird, that were nonconformist, that were unconventional. You could have really felt the personal importance around not wanting to fit into a mold, not wanting to be told what to do or how to be. A lot of you since 2018 could have really started connecting with people who society may deem as a little weird. And you could have really found during this time the importance of being very true to yourself, even if people think that it's very bizarre or very eccentric. Some of you could have partnered with some very eclectic individuals or dated some very eclectic individuals or befriended individuals who were genius but eccentric. And there could have been an energy around being very lit up around being with people who are very true to themselves and feeling yourself through interacting with different sorts of people, finding that you too are inhabiting the wholeness of who it is that you are in ways that maybe you didn't prior. You know, I'm a believer that when people show up as their wackiest, wildest self, they also give permission to the people around them to show up within their authenticity as well. And so you could have found, as you were very drawn to individuals who were eclectic, who were outside of the norm, you also were giving yourself permission to show up very authentically and to not feel like you have to apologize for who it is that you are for 1 minute or that you need to hide your quirks or your abilities. There could have been an energy where maybe before 2018, you felt certain energy around feeling different than other individuals. But with Uranus in the angular house, you're like, that just takes too much energy. And honestly, the more authentically true you are to yourself, the more you attract opportunities, partnerships, and collaborations that are truly for you. You cannot lose anyone that's truly for you by being yourself. And that could have been a journey that you've been on since 2018. Some of you could have felt judged by the general public, like you're too weird, you're too out there. Some of you could have had some unusual situations as it relates to your dating life. Some of you could have found that you've had certain ups and downs in terms of how it is that you related to others. But when Uranus departs the sector at the end of April, you will find a bit more stability in terms of how it is that you're able to relate with people. It does not erase all of the awakening and all of the epiphanies, all of the new perspectives that Uranus in the 7th house could have given you, but it does give us energy around stability, where yes, you get to keep the authentic acknowledgement of your own desires within partnership, within collaboration. You get to keep the dedication to your own unique attributes and your own unique interests, and wanting to be around people who let their freak flag fly as you keep the gifts that a certain transit gave us. But you should find with Uranus leaving the sector, it's not going to feel as much like a revolving door. If you've been really wanting stability as it relates to your relationships, as it relates to your connections, as it relates to your collaborations or your partnerships, there should be an energy of that from April onward. If you have Scorpio placements between 27 to 29, that means you have one more Uranus opposition within the first part of 2026. So there could be some restlessness within the beginning of your year around wanting to change things, wanting to disrupt things within your life. And as you know, Scorpio, change is the only constant of this experience. It's not saying to resist it, but oftentimes Uranus energy can make us feel like everything is wrong and we just need to jump out of our skin. You know, I had a bunch of Uranus squares recently, and the best way that I could describe it is that my life felt like a sweater that had grown too tight. Whereas like, I just want to break free of this. And your life can feel like this, especially if there's elements of your life or your partnerships where you feel like you have not had the full space to be yourself. Authenticity is essential within this experience, especially for you. I really see that you are taking with you the lessons of Uranus around, I refuse to conform. I refuse to mold to how other people would want me to be. I'm going to show up within my full scorpionic power. And I don't need to apologize for that. And so oftentimes when we're having a Uranus transit or Uranus transiting angular house, we could be judged by their people around, they're weird, they're into astrology, or the person that they're dating is not the typical sort of partnership, but you are just really living by the knowing to thine own self be true. And that is really something you're taking with you into this year, just the dedication to existing within your own authenticity and not apologizing for it. Another transit that has been very pivotal for you is that Pluto has been in your 4th house, and that continues this year. And so some of you could have had to defend your authenticity to your family. Like that could have been the pushback around your family does not agree with the person that you are dating, or your family does not agree with the way that you are living your life. The family does not agree with your own unique interests. Like that could have been the pushback. And I want to be so clear, you do not need to defend yourself to anyone, but there could have been an energy of power struggles as it relates to family around them being uncomfortable that you are growing and evolving in different ways or making certain choices for yourself. There may not be an energy of approval there. You also could be really diving deep into what is it that I really want? Like Pluto energy is a bit like a wrecking ball, and it's in a territory of your chart that's very sacred, that's very private. So a lot of you are really putting a wrecking ball towards what it is that you thought that you want or that you're programmed to want in order to ask yourself, what is it that I really want? And what's really true to me? A lot of you could be really unlearning what your family taught you, or even the ways that your family programmed you to feel about yourself. And it's not to say that anything that they taught you is inherently nefarious. Maybe that is the case for some, but there just could be an energy of really going deep. What do I want? And why do I want what I want? You know, as we talked about at the beginning, Jupiter is moving into a very public territory of your chart, and you don't want to get to the top of a ladder or work towards a goal and aim and then recognize it was your father's all along, or as an effort to secure validation from your mother or something like this. You want to make sure that your goals are your own because this life is your own. And with Pluto energy, it's really around what's not mine. You know, what is inherited, what is ancestral, what is familial. And a lot of you could be doing really deep work on these more private, sacred arenas of life. Some of you have already been doing this work, and you're bringing that with you. And this is a long transit. So it's not to say that this entire time is bringing transformation of your coping strategies and of your emotions and your home and your family, but there is a through line. There is an undercurrent of energy around evolving from your past in order to build your future, or really diving deep into what really makes me happy, or what made me feel like I had to perform, what makes me feel uncomfortable when I do get opportunities to be seen by the world at large, what subconscious or psychological patterns are running in the background, and how are those keeping me from opportunities to grow, to flourish, to bloom. with that 10th house energy. We'll dive more into that. But on the Pluto side of things, that energy is the most alive if you have Scorpio placements between 2 and 4 degrees. That means you have a Pluto square. And a lot of this transformational work, a lot of this psychological work, may be a lot more in your face. There could be certain experiences connected to your family that force you to step into new sides of yourself. And that is a continuation of the journey that's already been set into motion. You know, like the first domino has been knocked over with Pluto and Aquarius in the sector, and we cannot fit into places where it is that we've outgrown, or we cannot unknow things that we know or learn or figure out. And with the energy of Pluto, you could have really found in recent years and continuing this year, this energy around really wanting to understand yourself to your core. Recognizing that, yes, we see professional success indicated this year, or an energy of your hard work paying off, working towards something that feels very aligned with your soul altogether, but really wanting to understand what's happening within. Because no matter what is happening outside within our world, it does not rectify, it does not satiate what is happening within. So while you are ascending to new heights, you are meeting and matching it equally with the depths. And like I said, I do see a theme around wanting to be very true to yourself in every situation. Like even Pluto in the 4th house, if there's been any energy where you felt like you had to perform for validation around family, like Pluto energy really just strips off any mask. It really just makes us go deep and be fully authentic, which sometimes can be uncomfortable if there are certain family members who are determined to continue to view you in a particular way. And I also want to note on this theme of authenticity, Saturn and Neptune have been moving through your 5th house, and that wraps up at the beginning of the year. And so a lot of you have been taking a hobby of yours very seriously, a creative talent of yours very seriously. Some of you could have been cuffed up. You know, 5th house is around dating. Saturn can bring, limitation there. So it's like not dating because you are in some sort of relationship. Or this could have been energy around a lack of interest within dating. If you felt like some of that Uranus in the 7th house energy around, people are flighty, they're in and out, I'm just uninterested in it. A lot of you could have really worked towards your creative talents and really putting in the effort. Saturn energy really rewards consistently. So some of you could have really found you've been incredibly consistent as it relates to your art. You've been in the studio. You've been doing your podcast. You've been doing the things. And a lot of times we do get rewarded when Saturn officially departs a house. So if you've been waiting for some of the rewards to come, especially connected to your creative efforts or things that you create or things that you make, that absolutely could be alive this year, especially with Jupiter and Leo entering your 10th house later this year. Some of you could have become parents during this time and really had to step up in terms of disciplining your children. Like Neptune energy can create leaky boundaries, and Saturn energy really having to enforce said boundaries with your children. Some of you could have had to get very serious about your life in order to have children, or making certain plans in order to ensure your fertility. Some of you could have gotten sober or stopped partying as much, or just recognized that there were certain fun habits that were not so fun. It was like checking you out from reality, and the price that you had to pay was far too much to continue to sustain that within your life. And for others of you with Saturn and Neptune in the house that has to deal with self-expression, it was this energy around really wanting to build a life that is your own, with belief systems that are your own. Jupiter was in your 9th house at the end of last year, and that continues on this year as well. So wanting to build a life that fully feels like your own. There's definitely an energy that you're bringing with you into this year's movie around true success is a life that feels like my own. True success is where I get to be myself. True success is where I'm seen favorably by the world at large and receiving praise, but also where that's met and matched by intrinsic pride around being who it is that I'm designed to be, who it is that the universe created me to be. Act 2, the plot twist. This is the part of the movie that may catch you by surprise. So I want to begin by talking about the eclipses, because when North Node enters Aquarius and South Node enters Leo in August, this does signify the opening of a new eclipse axis. And I want to be so clear, that's when the nodes officially move, but we do have a preview eclipse in February that kind of gives us a taste of what this eclipse story will have in store. And this one is more significant for you you, Scorpio, because it's in your modality, fixed signs, and it emphasizes the 10th house of career, public persona, and the 4th house of home. So starting with the solar eclipse in Aquarius, this lands on February 17th. And this is the opening eclipse in this axis, and it lands in your 4th house of home, of family, of what is sacred. Keep in mind, we talked about this when we talked about Pluto. So the 4th house is what our life feels like. If the 10th house is what our life looks like, 4th house is how it feels like. And like I said, there is lots of energy where you could have more applause, more praise on the outer world. And we tend to think that will make us happy, and it is not the case. If it were the case, celebrities would be the most adjusted, joyful people ever. And we all know that's not the case. Like oftentimes fame or success amplifies what was there all the while. And sometimes we have an insatiable obsession to be seen, to be extraordinary, to be famous, because we feel like it'll finally fix us. We feel like we'll finally be at peace with ourselves, but the goalposts keep moving, and there tends to be an energy where it never feels to be enough. So this opening eclipse asks, what do you want? What will make you happy? What is your ideal home situation? Aquarius as a sign is very unique. It's very unconventional. And again, we see a theme of that with Uranus, the modern ruler of Aquarius, in your 7th house, opposing your Scorpio placements, or at least it has opposed your Scorpio placements at some point from now, back until 2018. And with the energy of Aquarius and Uranus at that, it is around disrupting the norm, doing things differently. And so with this particular eclipse, there could be an awareness of something that you are wanting to do that feels different than what society is telling you to do. But you know it's right for you. Like you may feel like you're being pressured to settle down and start a family. Maybe this is an eclipse around recognizing that's not my path, or that's not really what feels like fulfillment for me. Or maybe it's vice versa, around people don't think that you should start a family. And this is an energy around, no, this is what's important to me. There just could be an awareness around what really makes you happy, and awareness around how that's different from other people or society at large. Some of you could feel like a bit of a black sheep around your family. It seems like they went this particular path and I'm carving my own path. And it is the harder path to carve your own authentic, true path. You do have to deal with energies around feeling weird, around feeling different, sometimes even feeling ostracized. You know, Pluto's also in this territory. So some of you could have had power struggles when it relates to family, or them trying to control you, trying to tell you what to do, or just like toxic dynamics. And this particular eclipse could be like, I don't care if you think I'm weird, I need to do what is best for me. Some of you could move or get an opportunity to move, or have an awareness that moving is what you desire. And this solar eclipse in Aquarius will be the most impactful if you have Scorpio placements between 23 to 29 degrees. That eclipse is going to be very impactful. And keep in mind, it's a solar eclipse, which is a new beginning on the North Node. And it's in the territory of what your life feels like, not what it looks like. There will be energy when it's around growth and fame and success, but there's an energy around, you know, does it fix what is happening in here? So how is it that I can get right with my soul? And Aquarius also brings in themes around humanitarian visions for the world at large. So you may feel like it's very intrinsically important for you to build things that help humanity. Where things are going could be not sitting well with you. And there's an energy around, I will not feel at ease with my soul unless I feel like I'm able to do something. And with the second eclipse in the angular houses, it's a solar eclipse in Leo in August. There could be an energy around even walking away from a certain career path, from a certain job, because it does not feel in alignment with the visions and dreams that you have for humanity, or what's like deeply important to you. There could be an energy of release, because with that eclipse, it is a solar eclipse. So it's a new beginning, yet it's on the South Node. So I see for some of you, it could be having to release pride in order to really embody your full strength, your full abilities. For some of you, it could be releasing something that does not feel aligned in order to move in directions that do feel very aligned. For some of you, these changes can be thrust upon you. You know, this is under plot twist for a reason. Sometimes things happen during eclipses that make it clear, I cannot stay in this career path. I cannot keep working for this person. And I do want to let you know that you are protected. As scary and destabilizing as it can feel when there are certain changes that are thrust upon us, when something ends, or even begins for that matter, around an eclipse, it's considered to be something that is universally aligned. for us, something that is in our highest and best good, even if it does not seem so at the time. So there may be something in August where you recognize it's time to let go of this career path. This does not feel like me. I've been thinking that a certain amount of likes or attention out here will satiate what's happening in here. Or for some of you, like I noted at the beginning, recognizing I've been keeping my own fear of being judged, of being seen, keep me from being able to show up as the leader I want to be, or sharing my art in the way that I want to. Like I'm having to release pride and ego in order to grow, like putting myself out there and not fearing being cringe. Something like that. You know, sometimes we get in our own head or operate through pride or ego, especially if we're wanting to build something or grow something, where it's like, it's so cringy to be posting all of the time about my business, or it's so embarrassing to post this song and not get that many likes. But you know, when something's important to you, and I see that you're wanting to make decisions around what's important to you, you get out of your own way. You know, I was someone who was not very comfortable being seen, or it kind of intimidated me. And I had to like get real with myself and recognize how self-centered it was in a way to make it about me. Because genuinely, if I feel that astrological information could impact one person, inspire one person, change one person's life, how self-centered of me to be like, oh, what if they think I'm cringy? What if they think I'm annoying? I don't care if they think I'm cringy and annoying. I speak and create for the souls who can benefit from what it is that I have to put out there and for my unique talents and abilities. You know, you are not for everyone. And with the Leo energy in the 10th house, it's around what makes your heart beat faster. What are you passionate about? And seeing it as the tool in order to show up for what is inwardly very important to you, and not being so caught up in how things are performing. That's something I see for you this year, Scorpio, and that might be a plot twist where you could find like a lot of your work, particularly as it relates to your creative efforts or building something, building a business, something like that. You may start to see that grow and develop, but there could be an energy around being very detached from it. Like it could be really important to you to show up in ways that feel very intrinsically satisfying and being less attached to the results or the metrics. I think when you genuinely feel like you're making a difference, you feel like you are connected to something bigger than yourself, you let go of how it is that you're perceived, how it is that you're seen. And a lot of times you let go of attachment to results. You know, having South Node and this eclipse in the 10th house can sometimes indicate a lack of ambition. And again, it could represent you are walking away from position in order to spend more time at home or do things that make you happy or because of a move, something like this. But I also see there's just this energy around being more detached from results and metrics, which actually makes you more magnetic. You know, when you are just doing things because it feels in alignment, you're doing things because it's fun for you, you're doing things that make you happy, you're less attached to whether people get it right away, whether people applaud right away. And sometimes when that happens, it almost feels like the cherry on top rather than the core reason that you're doing it. Because sometimes when we create things with an attachment around people need to love this and this needs to succeed from a vibrational standpoint, when we're chasing something, it's like, you know, running from us. So sometimes when we're so just obsessed with this feels good to do it, and I like to do it in the way that I want to do it, and I'm living a life that feels very true to myself, and I'm building a life around my desires, around what makes me happy. Oftentimes when your creative projects do succeed or things are gaining traction, it's not that it's not rewarding and fulfilling, but the likes, the applause, the cheerleading just feels like an added benefit rather than the sole reasoning. So if you've been like chasing something around, I'm doing this because it needs to be successful, it needs to be this or that, there's an access here to like recalibrate around what is it that I really want, what really makes me happy, and how is it that I can get so obsessed with that when people are talking about my creative efforts, when I am succeeding in the public eye, which I do see with the Jupiter influence, it just feels like an added benefit. Because it's like, oh, I had so much fun doing this and I feel like I'm making a difference and I'm making an impact and it's succeeding and it's growing and it's evolving. That could be a plot twist for you this year. Act 3, character development. Let's talk about how it is that you are evolving and stepping into new sides of yourself. So for this, I look at your ruling planets. Now, you have a traditional ruling planet, Mars, and a modern ruling planet, Pluto. I personally use traditional rulers, but I will talk about both here, or at least talk about Pluto a little bit more, since we have talked about it a bit. So starting with Mars, the great news is this year, Scorpio, your ruling planet is direct all year long. long. I really feel a lot of forward momentum for you, Scorpio. There's an onward motion energy. And if you are wanting to succeed in something creatively, if you're wanting to put yourself out there as a leader, if you're wanting to grow within career, if you're wanting to expand into a new industry, the conditions are aligned for you to do just that. And again, you're not just building things just for the outer perception or what people say. You're doing it because it feels right, or it feels satisfying, or it feels like it's making a difference. It's very intrinsically motivated, but I see external progress than rewards. So the story of your ruling planet is that at the beginning of the year, Mars starts in Capricorn, and then by the end of the year, it will move to Virgo. So firstly, just need to note, just from a symbolic lens, Mars, your ruler, starts in an earth sign, ends in an earth sign, which kind of co-signs this like earthy, ambitious, going after what it is that you desire, growing within the public eye, or within career, within work. We'll talk about it, but it does feel like a year where you are really focused on your goals, because it feels very heart-centered, feels very soul-centered, feels very bigger than you, or it really like lights you up or fills you up. And when you have something, when you have a why, when you have a vision of why you're doing it for, you just feel like you're charged up or energized from an external source. There's just nothing that lights you up more so. But we start the year with Mars in Capricorn, which for you is your third house. Third house is around social media, marketing, sales. And by the end of the year, it will make its way to the 11th house in the sign Virgo. It echoes many other themes that we've been connecting on, because as the year continues, Mars is essentially moving towards the top of the chart, where a lot of the cosmos is concentrated. So there is an energy around really tuning into your foundations in order to grow up and to build things that last. They last because they are aligned with your path. They last because you are genuinely good at this. They last because you've put in the effort, and not just the physical work we do, but also the emotional effort that you've had to put in, the psychological effort that you've had to put in. There is an energy where it does feel like you are reaping the rewards of your hard work. And Mars's journey from the third house all the way to the 11th house just kind of echoes that. Tuning into your foundations in order to grow and expand into the outer world. Because Mars starts in the third house, which is around sharing our message, marketing, sales, and it ends the year in the 11th house, which is around our network, our audiences, our people, our influence. And again, this year, I say that you're stepping up as a leader, but a true humanitarian leader with North Node Aquarius in your fourth house. Like, really being tapped into humanity at large and what it is that you want to see on a global level, what is deeply important to you, intrinsically important to you, and wanting to lead in a way where you remind everyone that it's bigger than all of you, and tuning back into that and recognizing that you could be a leader without being influential. And that influence, like power, is something to be wielded intentionally. And it feels like you are being spotlighted. You are being put into positions to lead, to create, because you are wielding power and influence intentionally. You are staying very connected to your own big picture. You are not allowing the fame or the outer perception of it to get you swept up, or your own pride to get you swept up, or your own fears, your own limiting beliefs, your own self-sabotaging to get you swept up. Or at least that is the encouragement around really being people-oriented, people-centered, and wanting to build things or connect with people that feel like you're all genuinely making a difference. And looking to your modern ruler, Pluto, as we noted, this is moving through the fourth house of your chart. And so you are really tuning into your foundations. You're tuning into your ancestry. Why am I this way? There could be an energy around really digging deep and seeing how success really amplifies certain themes that come up around. You might get certain opportunities where it's like younger you would be gagged, right, to know all of this, but like really contemplating what within me felt like I needed to be applauded so badly. Like, why did I feel like I would only feel loved if I was loved by many other people? Or maybe you're on the other side of the spectrum, where it's like ever since you were small, you would rather die than be perceived or do public speaking or something like this. And you could just be recognizing that. And really questioning that around, is this really true to me, or was this a coping strategy? Is this true to me, or is this self-sabotage? There could be an energy where there's a lot happening out in the world, but it's bringing about certain reflections internally. Or even just with Mars starting the year in your 3rd house, ending the year in the 11th house. What comes up when I promote myself on social media? What comes up when I'm in my sales meetings? What comes up when I'm public speaking or teaching at certain conferences or things like that? And how is it that I can work through those fears? Sometimes Pluto in this house can indicate that we are dealing with themes of loss and grieving. And I don't want anyone to move into this year with any fear around, oh my goodness, am I going to lose someone near and dear to me, a family member, something like this? I want to let you know that Pluto will be in this territory for a long time. And by no means am I suggesting that now until 2044 is going to be loss after loss, that you'd have to live your life with any sort of fear. Quite the opposite. That is not what I'm suggesting at all. But sometimes there are certain losses that do come up. Our parents sell the family home, and that's a letting go of some sort. Or we move away from that certain family members, and that's a letting go. Or we have to put certain boundaries between narcissistic family members, and that's a letting go of that person, as well as grieving who you wish that person was and who they could have been and what the relationship could have been. There just could be an energy where there are shades of loss and release showing up, but it also could be you letting go of emotional patternings that are not serving you. Some of you could be really diving deep into finding more empowering ways of emotionally regulating or navigating this experience. Act 4, supporting characters. Let's get into some other themes that may be felt within your movie, perhaps more subtly. So I want to share that we have a brief foreshadow of a new story that is emerging. And the story I'm referring to is that Chiron will enter Taurus, thus impacting your 7th house from June 19th until September 17th this year. And I would really encourage you to pay attention to what transpires at this time, to the themes that emerge. Because Chiron energy can be a bit of a pain point, and it's moving into the sector of one-to-one connections. Like we talked about, Uranus is departing that sector and it will not return for 84 years. So you can find a bit more stability than you may have felt since 2018 moving forward. But with Chiron energy, pain points may emerge as it relates to your partnerships and connections. Sometimes our own wounds will make us want to hurt the other person before they can hurt us, or leave before we are left, because we're operating from that really wounded framework, and Chiron energy may bring that to the forefront. I personally rarely see this transit come about in terms of this brand new energy come about. Typically what I see with Chiron is a trigger point of the old wounds, old insecurities that a lot of you are really excavating this year with Pluto in your 4th house. And relationships, partnerships may bring those triggers to the forefront, where you share an idea to your collaborator and they ignore it. And you just think of all of the times that you were invalidated by your caretakers. And sometimes we can latch out from that space, right? Where we feel triggered. And it's not even just the present version of ourselves, but prior versions of ourselves. A core wound of yours or trigger could be not feeling like your value is seen, or feeling very invalidated by other people, or feeling like your worthiness is brought into question. And it's really important when those triggers emerge to really see, where is this coming from? And is there an opportunity to grow through this, to move beyond this? Because Chiron energy can often make us react in a very knee-jerk way around, again, let me say something nasty because I feel triggered, I feel hurt, I feel unsafe. And oftentimes when we're showing up authentically, these themes do surface as an opportunity, as a catalyst to grow, to evolve, and to choose closeness. Now, this is under the assumption that these triggers are not intentionally being activated. Sometimes, and not always, Chiron in the sector can indicate that we partner with people or around people who intentionally trigger us, who know what to say and what to do to dig at us, to cut at us. And no one that you are spending time with, no one that you are in partnership with should leave you feeling not worthy. Sometimes people do things that trigger embedded stories within us, but if you are recognizing that you are leaving every meeting with this business partner or every interaction with your spouse, genuinely questioning your worth as a human being, that is not your person. That is not your person. And sometimes people will trigger us in order to keep us smaller, in order to control us. And some people could be doing work in order to create distance with those sorts of people who are determined to keep you questioning your worth. I'm even seeing some of you could be dealing with someone who breadcrumbs you, gives you just enough nourishment to want more, to keep you on the hook, but keeps you perpetually hungry for affection, hungry for affirmation, hungry for validation. And you don't deserve breadcrumbs. You deserve the whole plate. But what's so challenging about these certain situations is the longer that we're fed breadcrumbs, the more dependent we are on said breadcrumbs. And the more we feel like we will starve without these mere morsels of attention, of validation, whatever it is. And with Chiron in the 7th house, some of you could be working through wounds around not being in partnership or feeling very triggered by other people's partnerships and comparing yourself to them. And it could be really challenging to fully choose yourself beyond the morsels that people are feeding you. That could be a theme that comes up. And this is not necessarily saying a breakup for everyone or some sort of breadcrumbing situation for everyone. Just observe within your connections your own triggers. And the encouragement would be to look at them as an opportunity for you to grow, because all you can control is how it is that you show up. But really recognize if there are people who are determined to keep you triggered, keep you in your wounded energy, that may not be somebody who's for you. No one who's truly for you will leave you questioning your own worth as a human being. And so really looking where that could come up. I do see some of you could start like working with certain healing practitioners, or some of you could be really like investing in your own healing journey, especially if you have Scorpio placements at 0 degrees. So you're going to have a Chiron opposition. So it could be an energy around, yes, triggers surfacing, but for the purpose of evolution. You're Scorpio. After all, that's what you do. I want to highlight Uranus leaves your 7th house April 25th, and at which point it enters into your 8th house. So throughout the end of the year, your investments could really go through some ups and downs, like randomly surging up and then dealing with certain corrections. Like you could just deal with some what is even happening as it relates to your investments, or even as it relates to your partner's income. You could get really interested and maybe even obsessed with certain like occult topics, metaphysical topics, really wanting to be in classes that are very unique in order to dive into these things. There also could be just random flashes of letting go, of release. I do see with Uranus and Gemini, trining Pluto in Aquarius, linking your 4th and 8th house, there just could be awareness of things surfacing and making the intentional decision, I am putting this behind me. You know, naming the version of ourselves who dealt with certain painful things or has those really bad habits sometimes creates distance where it's like, I'm not that person anymore. And it helps us consciously choose what would the version of myself that I am now do. And it helps us create distance around who it is that we are evolving away from. And so there could just be random moments around, this is something to let go of. This is something to release. This is something to shed. Spontaneous release is what comes up when I think of Uranus in the 8th house. And yes, this can indicate sudden experiences of loss, of grieving. Again, no fear. This is a long transit, and it's not to say that we necessarily deal with this the entire time until 2033. There just could be unexpected levels of letting go, whether that shows up on a spiritual level. There could be unexpected support that you receive from other people, random people coming in divine timing, like they're angels out of the blue in order to help you or support you, or even give you ideas. Like, yes, 8th house is the house of monetary support that we receive from others, which Uranus energy, you could win some sort of random prize or get some check in the mail. Like, yes, Uranus energy could bring some unexpected events in relation to the money that finds you from unearned means, but it also can represent just random support that's available where you're going through it and then somebody tells you exactly what you want to hear, or you receive an idea that's going to be very helpful as you continue on. There could be elements of that alive. I do want to share that outside of the major eclipses for you anyway, the solar eclipses that land in your 4th and 10th houses, there's 2 other eclipses. One in March in the sign Virgo, thus your 11th house, and one in August in Pisces, your 5th house. And so with that eclipse in March, you may be putting separation between certain friends of yours. You may recognize that certain friendships of yours operate because they look good on paper. You may have felt certain pressure around feeling like you had to be friends with your coworkers. There could have been an energy around letting go of certain hopes and dreams, and I always thought this was the direction that I wanted my life to go in. And when it comes to eclipses, it's really really an invitation to let the universe do its thing. If any of your friends do reveal their true colors, any colleagues of yours reveal their true colors, if there's like an aha, an epiphany that an ambition of yours that you've always wanted doesn't feel totally in alignment, there's an ask to trust in the process of letting go of what you planned your life to be in order to embrace what it is and what it's evolving to be, and really cultivating gratitude for that. And seeing where it is that you can feel very divinely carried by the universe. You know, like we talked about in Plot Twist, there could be certain things that really catch you by surprise, but it really feels like it's all artfully designed in order to get you in the pathway of where you are meant to be, where you are meant to succeed, where you are meant to flourish, where you are meant to be happy. And so there is an ask to trust in what is being released from your world. With the eclipse at the end of August, this is a lunar eclipse in Pisces, thus your 5th house of creative expression, of children. So some of you could have an epiphany, an aha around children. You could recognize something spiritually about the relationship that you have with your children or who your children are as souls. Something could culminate within your life, like some sort of creative project, some sort of screenplay, something like that. There could be like an aha, an illumination of that coming around August, as well as just an awareness around what you find joy within. And really with the energy of Pisces, what you feel soulfully, divinely designed to do. Like I said, this year, you're really building a life that feels like your own. And there's like a spiritual tone to it with the energy of Pisces around you as a soul and how your passions and your gifts point you in the right direction of where to go. As I briefly noted in setting the scene, Saturn and Neptune do depart your 5th house this year. Neptune has been in your 5th house since 2011, and Saturn has been in your 5th house since 2023 in actual houses or solar houses. And so both of these planets towards the beginning of the year enter into your 6th house. So with Neptune, I firstly want to say you may notice this year you are more sensitive. You're just more sensitive. And that might be why you're spending more time at home with North Node in the 4th house, working from home. Aquarius brings in a little bit of digital energy. You could just be more receptive to other people's energy, so craving more time alone. You could be more sensitive as it relates to your food. You could be more like health conscious, or even just more sensitive to chemicals, to smells. Saturn can bring an energy of restriction and discipline. So some of you may find certain restrictions around your health, around, I used to be able to eat this and now I don't. I cut that out of my habit. And Neptune is a mysterious influence. So there also could be confusion around getting to the bottom of certain like symptoms that you've been experiencing. And my encouragement, not being a doctor at all, but Saturn and Neptune are in the territory of health. And so the best way to go about health matters may be a mix of things that are Saturnian and Neptunian. In that Neptune may be like mind-body connections and just like recognizing what your body may be signaling to you. And then Saturn is around doing the work, around maybe matching that with seeking information, meeting practitioners, taking supplements, like doing the physical work in order to rectify the situation or bring your body into health, but also recognizing the spiritual elements of our connection to our own vessel. You could also find that creating boundaries with your coworkers is more challenging this year. And again, I genuinely feel like some of you are just releasing the need to feel like you have to be super close to your coworkers, or if it's not coworkers, like feeling like you have to keep up with the Joneses or like do what everybody else did when they graduated college or live in this particular way with that South Node and 11th house energy. But with Saturn in the 6th house, a lot of you may have to like really work to put in boundaries with your coworkers, not absorb more of their work. With Saturn in the 6th house, a lot of you are really having to work very hard. I have to be forthright with you around, yes, I do see success and growth, but with Saturn energy, you're having to be disciplined. You're showing up day in and day out, but it does feel like you are working towards bringing your dreams to reality. And when something has intrinsic value to you, you are more motivated to show up. So yes, you're working hard, but I do see a lot of you may reap the rewards of your hard work, especially with Jupiter and Leo trining Saturn in August. There could be an energy where feeling like your hard work is paying off, as well as really doing the work in order to bring your visions to reality. It could be a focus. I want to share that Jupiter starts off the year in Cancer, your fellow water sign. And so with Jupiter in Cancer, there could be a focus around your spiritual connection. There could be a focus around travel, growing. Some of you could be in a higher education program or seeking mentorship, really wanting to grow, really wanting to feel connected to something bigger than yourself. Some of you could have pursued certain programs that will help you move into a new industry industry, within career. And that could be a shift that's taking place. Some of you could be enrolling in higher education or graduating from higher education to prepare you for what you want to go. Or some of you could just be really wanting to grow, really wanting to evolve, putting yourself out there for, yes, new learnings, new adventures, but also connecting with new sides of yourself and your internal truth. You know, Jupiter is in a lunar ruled sign as we start the year. And so growth is really showing up around what pours into us in a very sacred way, echoing some of the other themes that we've connected on. But with Jupiter starting the year in the 9th house, it's really wanting to move in directions that feel meaningful, that feel purposeful, recognizing that all the accolades and applause in the world won't make up for anything that feels in misalignment with who it is that we really are and what really pours into us, what really nurtures us. And from June 29th onward, Jupiter will enter Leo, which, as we discussed, is your 10th house, career, public persona, reputation. This could be a time in which you are more magnetized to recognition. You're being seen favorably. People are clapping and cheering. People could be really lifting up things that you've created. You could have been really working hard on mastering your talents, mastering your gifts, honing your craft. And with Jupiter energy, you could find that the public is in alignment with what it is that you've been creating. A lot of what you've been working towards could pay off from this point onward. You could find opportunities to level up, to grow within leadership, to grow as a manager. Some of you could be showing up for some sort of nonprofit, something that you're wanting to give back to, especially with Jupiter on the South Node. That aligns in August. And so there is a recognition around, yes, there's expansive opportunities. Things are coming in. It may require you to be busier with Saturn in your 6th house, but it feels like it's bigger than you. And there might be like a lack of ambition around things that don't feel meaningful is what this feels like. Because a lot of times with South Node transiting the 10th house, we're less inclined to be as ambitious as we typically are. We could have more of our focus towards home and family, emotional state with North Node in the 4th house. But with Jupiter also there, it feels like there's either energy of releasing our old career path in order to move into alignment with something that has a lot of meaning, or making certain sacrifices in order to grow our career in a certain way, or again, just that energy of detachment around there is success and things are moving, but I feel not contingent upon receiving that. Like, I recognize the true value of what I'm doing is not the applause, it's not the me about it. I recognize it's part of something bigger than me. And with South Node on Jupiter in the 10th house, some of you could even be stepping into something around mentoring others or being a spiritual leader and having to put your ego aside in this effort of helping people connect to something so much bigger than themselves. Scorpio, in the year 2026, I see a lot of you are getting the rewards, the accolades, the success that you have been working towards. But the real plot twist of the movie of year 2026 is that this feels besides the point. When you feel lit up about who you are and how you live your life and what you do and how it is that you do what you do, any sort of outer reward from it certainly feels nice and gratifying, but it's not necessary. You're not as hungry for it. Like I said, with Uranus leaving the 7th house, Chiron dipping into your 7th house, Pluto in the 4th house, there's a unique electricity that goes through your veins when you feel like you are doing what you are meant to do. There's a unique pace that your heart will beat at when you feel like you are making full use of all of the talents, gifts, and abilities that the universe gave you. There is a unique magic that shows up when you are deeply rooted into your home environment and seeing how you broke certain cycles as it relates to your family, as it relates to your ancestry, and recognizing the value in that. Yes, the outer rewards are good. They're nice. The applause sounds nice. The trophies look nice. But the real win is feeling at home with who it is that you are. And this is not work that comes easy. Pluto at the bottom of your chart. A lot of you have had to do or are doing shadow work. You're facing your fears. You're digging deep. What is it that I really want in life? But the reward and the true reward of that work is building a life that truly feels like your own. So Scorpio, I'm wishing you the most magical year. If you're craving an even deeper dive, you want to talk more about this year's astrology, what's showing up month by month, make sure to check out the Magic 2026 month by month guide. It comes with the PDF packet of the planetary movement, as well as a video from me talking you through each month's challenges, opportunities, and affirmations. If you'd like to connect on your chart and your transits, socials. Check out the Capricorn New Moon Magic 2026 group classes. We'll be in small numbers of us in order to give a personalized experience, but all be united in terms of the intentions that we are setting under the auspicious energy of the Capricorn New Moon. So make sure to check that out below. If you are new to my cosmic corner of the internet and you like the vibes, make sure to check out the other videos that I have on my channel. I do all signs forecasts on all of the major shifts that we experience, where it's impacting your chart, as well as a weekly astrology podcast called Magic Monday. I would love for you to check out. If you got any value from this video, I would so appreciate a like, a comment, a subscription. But until we meet again, Scorpio, stay magical.